Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana says there's no valid legal ground for the DA to challenge or have set aside a decision that's been made under the constitutionally authorized provision of Section 7, subsection 4 of the VAT Act, which empowers the minister to determine VAT adjustments. The DA made an application in two parts, A and B. Cameron Phillips, Senior Associate at Rue Legal, explains.
Part A, however, is an urgent application premised on 2 points of law. The first being the setting aside of the adoption of the financial framework, the fiscal framework for the year. And then the second part, which is the most important part, is the suspension of the operation of the implementation of the VAT hike. Now, that in and of itself actually has 2 parts to it, because it also has a portion which prevents the Commissioner of SARS from actually enacting the collection of the increased VAT amounts.
Part B of the DA's application speaks to the constitutional validity of the power given to the Finance Minister in Section 7.4 of the VAT Act, a matter that will be heard on a non-urgent basis at a later stage. When it comes to the success of the Part A process, there are a number of issues the DA will need to show.
For an interdict, especially one brought on an urgent basis, there's a number of requirements which have to be met. The first being a prima facie right open to some doubt. In other words, a right on the first impression, which is open to some doubt. A well-grounded apprehension of harm, or irreparable harm, I should say. A balance of convenience in favor of the applicant, and that there is no suitable alternative remedy available to the applicant.
Phillips wouldn't be drawn on what he believes the DA's likely prospects of success would be in its urgent application set to be heard on the 22nd of April. However, should the DA's motion be unsuccessful in terms of halting the VAT increase, what will this mean for the South African economy? Dr. Azar Jamin of Econometrics suggests that economic impact may not be as worrisome as some expect.
Ironically, given the huge hoo-ha that is surrounding this VAT increase, it's actually not going to have a massive impact on overall economic activity. A 0.5% increase in the rate of VAT is set to increase the inflation rate by 0.1 to 0.2%, and that is basically the extent to which it's going to erode the disposable incomes of individuals. In other words, if a person had 1,000 rand to spend, he would now have between 1 rand and 2 rand less to spend after the rate of increase in the VAT.
Jamin argues that the debate around the budget has been a good thing because it's resulted in a greater interrogation of how the government spends public resources and the soundness of how it raises revenue. But the conflicts around the planned VAT increase and the fiscal framework, now extending to courtrooms, have got tongues wagging about the viability of the GNU in its current form, with concerns around what a reconfiguration of the government could look like and signify.
The more serious thing is if it does lead to a breakup of the government of national unity, the concern that people have is that this may well drive the ANC to look to its left, to more populist parties to get into bed with, and that could lead to an abandonment in the final resort of fiscal rectitude, and with that a massive inflationary surge on the back of a massive debt, public debt surge over which there will be no control. Rand would plummet, and international confidence in South Africa would be completely shattered.
When the Finance Minister's responding affidavit, National Treasury indicated that it nor the Minister would be making any further comment on the VAT matter until it was ventilated in court, scheduled for Tuesday, the 22nd of April. Nampumelelo Siziba, SABC News, Johannesburg.